All right, this is Mahadeva, the Thunder Wizard, and you've been waiting for it. Here it is. I'm going to be giving you, what is this? Oh, a little bit of toilet paper. What is this? We are going to be doing the Narasimha rune mantra Qigong shamanic ritual to destroy the elites. So I'm going to be giving that out. If you want to pause the video, you can take notes. I will walk through that entire thing, exactly what we're doing, why we're doing it, what it's going to do. But first, let us remember who Narasimha is. By the way, this is a question and answer. Oh wait, here we go. All right, so this guy, he's started right in on me. You and I, we had it out, and I thought we came to an agreement. But here's what I do with abusive people. You are one of the people that this is directed towards. Abusive, narcissistic, sociopathic people who take their insecurity out on others. So what we do is we block you. You do not give narcissists any oxygen. All right, so we just squashed a bug. Let's keep going. Let us talk about Narasimha. So Narasimha is one of the avatars of Vishnu. Vishnu is the preserver, quote unquote, of the Trinity in Vedic spirituality. So in Vedic spirituality, there is a Trinity. I mean, there's many gods. And they are associated with the planets, they're associated with all kinds of different things. But among them, it is acknowledged that there is a trinity of, supreme deities, I don't know what you want to call it. And these three represent the three centers within the body. And they represent, in the macrocosm, they represent the three forces of time and space, the three dimensions. So those deities are Brahma, which is the creator. Brahma was originally the main god. Not originally. Before that, it was actually Indra. But in the early stages of the Trinity, Brahma was the creator. And Brahma is associated with the navel center. And in the navel center is where we create our external world through our psyche, through our unconscious and subconscious minds. We intend and create our external reality. This is Brahma. Your higher self, which is associated with the ascended masters, with your higher awareness. This is Shiva. So Shiva is the destroyer. He really is the purifier. So in order to purify something, you have to destroy that which is no longer functioning, that which has become dead weight. So with fire, purify means to make fire. Purify. He purifies, he burns away that which is holding you back. And then, in the heart center, where your soul resides, is Vishnu. Vishnu comes from the same root word in the Norse tradition. You have Odin, Vili, and Ve. Ve means sacred space. It also means the temple, which of course would be a sacred space. And it, if I understand it correctly, the word village is also associated with this root of vi or ve. And it means to create a space for life. And this is what Vishnu does. Vishnu creates a safe space for human beings to thrive. So, in Midgard, in three-dimensional reality here on planet Earth, we are living in a space that has been, a safe space that has been created for life, including human life, so that your soul could incarnate in a physical body to interact with the physical world the same way that you interact with a virtual reality video game. And so we have challenges. We come here to face challenges. And Vishnu represents the soul overcoming these challenges to your lower vibrational self. I mean, it sounds so cheesy when I say it, but I don't know how else to say it. And so there are 10 different avatars of Vishnu. One has not come yet. But among the 10 that, or the 9 that supposedly have, these are actually connected to the 9 planets. Bear in mind, Vishnu is a real entity, a consciousness out there that you can connect to. You can worship it like God, because it is the representation, the consciousness of the soul of the universe. But Vishnu is also you. Vishnu is a projection and a representation of your soul. Your soul is the creator and the maintainer of this world. And so when you incarnate, you are Vishnu incarnating into a physical form. And the question is whether or not you will live to that vibration, that highest vibration of your soul. So the most fierce aspect of Vishnu, by the way, every time Vishnu comes, he does some kind of battle with some evil elite entity, usually a demon. But even that is symbolic. So the most fearsome, the most ferocious is Narasimha. Narasimha means lion man. And that's for a reason. He's not a human being, he's not an animal. You can see in this picture he's inside of a giant doorway, and you can see behind him that the sun is setting. And what you can't see in this picture is that he has on his lap a narcissistic, sociopathic, elite demon who has been torturing and abusing his own son, who represents you, represents human beings just trying to make it through life. The human being that follows the truth and worships his own soul. His father, Hiranyakashipu, which means the love of gold, oppresses and destroys him because he keeps talking about, his son keeps talking about Vishnu. So when he's finally abused his son enough, and he asks his son, "Where is this Vishnu that you worship?" Out from a pillar comes bursting this man lion, who then takes Hiranyakashipu, puts him on his lap, and tears open his navel center and wears his intestines like a mala, wears his intestines around him like a mala. And he's incredibly furious. So he's the Mars aspect. So Mars is purification as well. Not the identical purification that Shiva is, but Mars represents the fire that purifies, that destroys that which is dead and which is, dead extra weight. In the forest, when there's too much undergrowth, in the summertime you will get fires. You'll get lightning storm fires that will burn away all of the excess undergrowth, and then the nutrients from the ashes go into the ground and creates new life. So in order to get new life, you must first go through a purification process, and this is what fire does. And Mars is the element of fire. So we have this warrior aspect which destroys corruption and negativity, and we have it completely focused on Hiranyakashipu, which is the love of gold. And right now, I cannot tell you exactly what is going on YouTube, because YouTube is a member of, please feel free to go look it up right now, the Trusted News Initiative. Go look that up. Trusted News Initiative is a code word for censoring. They will censor you if you do not parrot the elite narrative of what is happening in the world. And what is happening in the world right now, without getting too specific, is we have extremely powerful people who are running the universe. By universe, I mean the world. They are running our physical universe. They are controlling you. They're controlling everything that you see. They control all of the media, including YouTube, Facebook. They control governments. Governments are all of the laws that are coming out now having to do with your right to live, to work, to eat, to travel, to go places. These are being controlled by these same elites. And these elites are running the defense industries, which I've just, after doing a little research, I've come to understand is multinational. There is no such thing as like the United States intelligence and European intelligence and Chinese intelligence. It's all the same. It's all run by the same people. They pretend to keep these little countries around, but they're not. Each country is actually just a subsidiary of one of these multinational corporations that are making decisions about your health, about your finances, about your work, about travel, citizenship. And they are in the process of murdering millions of people. Every day, people are being murdered by this multi-tentacled elite structure which controls the deep state, the military, governments, media, healthcare, drug companies. These are all controlled by a group of very powerful people. And so we have entered. If you remember in some of my earlier videos, I said we were about to enter into a dark ages, like the Middle Ages. We've already entered it. We're already there. We just happen to have a new expression of the matrix, which is a biodigital matrix. It's not the kind of matrix that was imposed on the world back in the 1300s, which was religious. That was a religious one. This one is a biodigital one. And if these elites have their way, they will continue, they've already started, but they will continue their strategy of mass genocide. As well as, they will take the remaining humans that they allow to live or that survive, they will take them and use them as a labor force. So this is what is in the process of happening right now. And if you haven't been on my channel for a while, you're like, what the hell happened to him? Well, what happened to me is I actually looked at some more details, and turns out that I was hypnotized to a degree, as many people still are. And now that I'm no longer influenced by that aspect of my unconscious attachment to the past, which is what that was, I have a better idea of what's going on. I'm learning every day. In fact, I have come to the tentative position that I may have even been wrong about the election. So not only was I wrong about the plague and about the Cylon upgrade, but I believe I was wrong about the election. I'm not done researching that yet, but I'll talk about that on my other channel. By the way, before we get into the ritual here, you can go to my other channels. I have channels on Odyssey.com. Of course, look for thunderwizard.com. Odyssey's really glitchy, at least it is for me. But it has all of my videos from this channel mirrored on there. You can also go to bitshoot.com and look for me, thunderwizard.com. All right. So, just to let you know how close we're getting, we already had one of the elite zombies come on here in the beginning. I had to squash him like a bug. Just to let you know, this ritual has power. And we, not just you and I, but actually everybody in the world now, more and more people are waking up every single day. And it's becoming harder and harder for the elites to continue to give out this hypnosis anymore. It's not taking anymore. It is my feeling there's a very good chance that during this 2-week period between the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse, which the lunar eclipse will be on the 19th, that there's a very good chance that things will start to unravel. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna, so much stuff has happened that have been beyond my belief. I'm not getting ready to totally buy into that idea yet, but it's my feeling. My feeling is that there's a reckoning that's coming. So, as you may have heard from previous videos about this, on the 19th of this month, we're having a lunar eclipse, and the moon will be conjunct the star Al-Ghul. Al-Ghul is a Muslim, Muslim isn't the language. What is it? It's an Arabic word that means demon. And it's where we get our word ghoul, like ghouls and ghosts and goblins. We get that word. It's also where we get the word alcohol. It comes from al-ghul. So that's telling you that alcohol is releases the demons inside of you. And this star is, let me find it again. This star Al-Ghul is represented by the decapitated head of Medusa. And there's Perseus holding the head of Medusa. And she represents what is going on right now. She represents the elites are seeking to petrify you with fear. Petrify means to make stone, to turn you into stone. So being so afraid that you can't move is called petrification. So this idea of Medusa turning people to stone means that just by looking at you, she has the ability to petrify you, to actually paralyze you with fear. So when she has been decapitated, then Perseus is now taking this power of the elites to petrify, to paralyze people with fear. He is now turning it back on the elites, and that's what, in the myth, that's what happens. He goes back and he uses this to turn to stone, to petrify, actually the king who sent him to do this, trying to get him killed. But he does this to free his mother. So you can see the similarities here. The earth is in bondage to these demons, to these reptilian elites who are operating from their reptilian brain. And here Medusa represents that because she is actually the daughter of a half serpent, half human reptilian. She herself has snakes in her hair, and her sisters are also reptilian beings. So she represents this. She represents the reptilian mindset. All of us have a reptilian brain. And whether or not you believe in actual reptilian hybrids or not, I seriously don't care. But whether there are or not, every human being has the potential to be a reptilian if they are living from, as our friend here, Archives of Lilith, if you are living from your fear-based, sociopathic, narcissistic mindset, this turns you into a sociopathic reptilian, right? So this power, so again, I want you to take a look at her. This is such a great depiction of her because, you know, her mouth is open. She's obviously not conscious. There's nobody home, but her eyes, the dead look in her eyes that shines out these demonic mirrors. That is exactly what's going on. The people who are doing what they're doing to the human race right now have zero empathy. They're not evil like they sit around and they hate people and I want to kill. No, they have no empathy. There's nobody home. The opposite of love is not hate. Because in order to hate somebody, you must first love them. The opposite of love is apathy, is having no feeling. Zombies don't have any hate. They just want your brains. They're mindless. And they are driven by this need to eat your brains or eat your flesh or whatever it is that zombies do. So the people that are running the world are even worse than that. They really are this. They are absolutely committed. They have legislated. I can't even talk about what the laws are that I'm referring to because it goes against the Trusted News Initiative. It goes against the censoring that YouTube forces me to adhere to if I want to keep my channel up. But there is, I forgot what I was saying. They are committed. They are committed to slaughtering you, making as much money off of you in the process. I think they're making $1 billion a week or $1 billion a month. I can't remember which, but they're making off of the Cylon upgrade. They're making $1 billion either a week or per month. They are absolutely focused on suppressing any truth about the amount of bodies that are piling up as a result of the Cylon upgrade. They are not telling you that they have outlawed. They have made it illegal in the country where I'm at now, which I'm getting out of here in the next 3 weeks. I'll be out of here probably 3 to 4 weeks. They've made it illegal for people to heal themselves. It's against the law. It's against the law for doctors to provide you with the healing necessary to heal you from the reptilian anointing and from the plague. They've made it illegal. Doctors can, I don't know if they go to jail or if they lose their license or what. If you're dying in the hospital and you ask for this healing balm, they will refuse and watch you die. And then they will talk about you as a statistic on the news. These are people that have no empathy. They have no empathy. They are sociopathic. They're narcissistic. They are only interested in feeding their love of gold. Hiranyakashipu. It's the only thing they're interested in. And whether that kills you or doesn't kill you, they don't care. Whether you suffer for the rest of your life, whether you are put in a wheelchair, whether you lose your faculties, they don't care. They have zero empathy for you whatsoever. So we are going to decapitate them, not literally, but spiritually we are going to do that. And this is what is represented by this star Al Ghul, which represents the decapitated head of Medusa. And like Perseus, we're going to turn their narcissistic sociopathy back onto them. And we're going to do that through ritual. All right? So we got ourselves all caught up. Is everybody now watching the channel? By the way, again, this is a... Yeah, okay, you guys are behaving. So it's a question and answer, just to make sure. All right. So let us now take a look at the ritual. I'll walk you through it. Okay, so this is the ritual to destroy the elites. We're going to do this in 4 sections. So this will take a total of 12 days, starting from the lunar eclipse. Okay, so let's get the ritual up. There it is. So if you're watching this on After it's been recorded, you can pause here and you can write this down. So the first 3 days, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start by facing northwest. So this is the ritual that you do every day starting from the eclipse. So the first 3 days you're going to start by facing northwest, and you're going to do the Awakening the Immortals Qigong. I'll give a link to that so you can, if you don't know where that is, you can find that on my free channel, no problem. You're then going to, after doing the Awakening Immortals Qigong, then you're going to face northeast for 3 minutes. And you're going to call upon the gods to bring purification to the earth. Then you're going to start in the north, and you're going to open the thunder wheel. You're going to speak this. Odin Villian Ve, I invoke the power of Raito to bring order to Midgard. You're going to go clockwise and repeat that chant in every of the directions, ending up back in the north again, which will then now on the ninth world will represent the center, the Midgard, and you will say it a 9th time. Then you're going to sit facing south. You can set up an altar. So you can put like an end table or altar or whatever. You're going to light a candle. And you're going to chant this mantra to Narasimha. And I'm going to pronounce it for you. So that looks like, I'll just pronounce it first. Om Kshraung Narasimhaya Nama. You're going to chant that 108 times. So, the M sound that you see when people chant Om, that's actually an NG sound. Kshraung is the seed sound for Narasimha. And Narasimha is pronounced with even though it's spelled usually M-H-A, Narasimha, it's actually pronounced Narasimha. So, and then you have Namah, which is I bow. So, Om Kshraung Narasimhaya Namah. I bow to the fierce power of Vishnu, which destroys the corrupt elites. You're going to chant that 108 times. After you've chanted that, you're then going to close down with the Hool breath. Second 3 days. So after the first 3 days, you're going to do the same thing you did the first 3 days, except you're going to replace the rune Raito with Yuhwaj. So you're going to chant Odin Villian Ve, I invoke the power of Yuhwaj to bring purification to Midgard. And then the third 3 days, you're going to replace Yuhwaj with Laguj, and you're going to chant Odin Villian Ve, I invoke the power of Laguj to bring emotional awareness to Midgard. All right, and then the last 3 days, we're going to do the same as the first, except you're going to replace Laguj with Hagalaj. And it's very simple. You just say, Odin Villian Ve, I invoke the power of Hagalaj to bring healing to Midgard. And then your mantra meditation is going to change. You're going to face southeast, and you're going to chant Om Shring Lakshmi Narasimhaya Namah. So Narasimha is the fierce form of Vishnu. Lakshmi Narasimha is when Venus is placated, when Mars is placated by Venus. When Mars is placated by Venus, which is Lakshmi, then Vishnu calms down. Shring is a very healing, empowering seed sound for Venus. And so we are going to do that 108 times. And then everything else is the same. You close with the Hool breath. All right? Does that make sense? Again, let's see. People are asking questions, so that's good. We'll answer that. So why are we doing this? We're doing this in 3 sections. If you look at, let's see, can I find the thunder wheel? I'm a little lazy today. I might not look for it. But anyways, in the thunder wheel, in the south, Those are the three runes that we focus on. We focus on Raito, Yuhuaj, and Laguj. These are the runes that are in the south, and they represent the three selves. They represent the three aspects of the Trinity. So Raito represents, in the physical realm, the lower self. Raito represents that, and it means bringing to order. It means law. It literally means the path of the sun, which is a wheel, like a wagon wheel. Wagons tend to create ruts in the grassland. So you can still see it if you go to places like Idaho and Oregon in the United States. You can still see the wagon wheel ruts in the prairie and in the desert. You can still see it. There used to be one right behind my house where I lived. And I used to walk out and go there and walk. They're like this deep. So it creates a pathway which represents the flow, the natural flow. Raito means to ride. Comes from where you ride a horse. It means to ride, literally to ride in a wagon. To ride in a wagon. When you ride in a wagon, you're not riding a horse all over the place. You're riding down a path in the ruts. So it's a very fixed path. It also represents the neural pathway. Your brain, you have habits. You have habits that you do, whether they're positive or negative. This is why discipline is important. Why people who practice spiritual discipline, they wake up at the same time every day, they do the same rituals, they do the same. It creates neural pathways in your brain, like wagon wheel ruts. And so this represents that. We're going to bring discipline, we're going to bring order, we're going to bring the law, we're going to bring the power of the sun, the wheel of the sun, which is the soul. We're going to bring all of this onto the physical plane first, which is Raito. Then we're going to do Yuhuaj. Yuhuaj is represents the southern direction, the power of fire, and it represents the heart center going through life and death transformation. So Yuhuaj is sometimes translated as, well, it means yew tree, the yew tree. The yew tree is the tree that literally dies and regenerates itself. So they put that tree in burial grounds for a reason. One is, if you've ever seen, yew trees sometimes are hollow. So you can go sit in the middle of a yew tree. Animals can live in the middle of yew trees. I think they can. But what ends up happening is that the way the tree grows is it expands outward, but it dies from the inside. So if it's just a little tree, it starts dying from the inside and it grows outward like that. So it represents growth through death. It also, the reason why the rune has the two spikes, one on the bottom and one on the top, one going down on the top and one coming up from the bottom, is because yew tree groves can actually just be one tree. So what happens is the branches of the tree actually go into the ground. I mean, is that weird or what? The tree grows a branch, the branch grows towards the ground, hits the ground, and starts growing into the ground. That branch then becomes the root for the next tree that pops up. So if there's two next to each other, there's a good chance that they're connected by a root system. And so as the root goes down into the ground, going underneath, going to the underworld, it then pops back up and becomes a tree. So this tree represents going to the underworld, going through that process of purification and then being reborn again. So Yuhuaj, when you experience Yuhuaj, it means, at the very least, it means transformation. If you surrender to the process, it is a transformational process. If you do not surrender to the process, then it will feel as though you are being destroyed. Whatever you are attached to, if you are attached to your lower essence, you will be destroyed by it. If you are attached to your soul, you will go through a very exciting, perhaps painful transformation. So this is why we do the second one, and we do it facing, in the second 3 days we do Yuhuaj and we face the south. In the third phase, we're going to do Laguj. Laguj represents deep unconscious emotions. So Laguj, even though it means lake and even though it means water, it doesn't mean the kind of healing water that you get with Hagalaj, which is healing. That's the healing that comes from the sky. We're talking about, in Laguj, we're talking about the deep waters that go deep underground. Again, we're talking about the underworld. And in the underworld, we have the unprocessed emotions that have not been dealt with. And so what happens there is we then allow ourselves, like, I'm going to be straight with you, I'm doing the best that I can to be aware of what is going on. I can't, I have to take days off and I have to go do things that I enjoy. Because if I spend all of my time researching, because it's very hard for me as a spiritual warrior to stand by when I know that millions of people are being slaughtered every day. It's very hard for me to do that. It's very hard for me to do that when the media is actively lying to people and helping to cause people's death. It's very, very challenging for me on a personal level. But I have to, do my spiritual practice and learn how to detach from what is not my karma, not my dharma. But I can feel, even though right now as I'm talking to you, I feel comfortable and I feel okay. When I woke up this morning, my jaw was locked because I'm grinding my teeth in my sleep. I wake up and I feel this tension. I feel this anxiety. And I know that it's coming from not just me, it's coming from tapping into the collective unconscious of the world. And there are people, even the people who are hypnotized, even the people that are spouting the narrative, the false narrative. They believe it. They consciously believe it, just like I did about 2.5, 3 months ago. They consciously believe it, but their unconscious is telling them all the time that something's not right here. So that's why they're so defensive. That's why they're so, what's the word I'm looking for? They're defensive. They are demeaning. They look down on you. They gaslight you if you don't buy into the narrative. And that's because that's how they feel. That's their defensiveness against their own unconscious reality, that they know something is wrong. But if they were to believe it, especially if they've been anointed by the reptilians, if they've gotten the Cylon upgrade, they have an emotional agenda to protect that narrative because it makes them feel safe. Because the truth is, underneath all of that, they're full of fear. And who wouldn't be if you bought into that narrative? So the third is we're going to tap into our unconscious feelings, and I'm planning on releasing a lot of the emotions that I just can't consciously tolerate and get through my day. Because if I were to feel the amount of anger, anxiety, pain, sadness, knowing what's happening on a moment by moment basis to innocent people, and now kids. So now it's coming, they've now focused on children. So they're going to be bringing this sociopathic rage onto innocent children who don't have the ability to make decisions for themselves, and they don't have the ability to know better. They don't have the ability to look beyond the narrative. When I think about that, that's extremely challenging for me on an emotional level. So I plan on during that time to letting myself have all of those feelings and release that for my own health. And then the last 3 days we're gonna change the mantra up to Lakshmi Narasimha, which is Lakshmi is comforting Narasimha because he's so enraged. After destroying the elites, he's still full of rage because of the, and I get chills thinking about it, because of the damage that's been done to innocents. So he needs to be calmed down. So Lakshmi will come and she will comfort him, calm him down, so that he can go back to being the beautiful, loving, he won't be tamasic anymore. He will be sattvic. He will come back to his sattvic nature of peace and love and harmony. And hopefully the world will then be able to go into a place of healing. All right, so there's the ritual. I know there's some questions, so let's take a look at those. Let's see. Is it Raz Al Ghul? I don't know that it's Raz Al Ghul. If that is, that's also that name of the Batman anti-hero. Yeah, okay, let's see. Agent of the Universe question, what will happen if I say Gebo 7 times? I don't know why you're asking me. You've obviously done it. So you have more experience than I do. I mean, I'm sure I've said Gebo 7 times, but I know that you have a strong connection to that. So I don't have anything specific to say to you. You know what Gebo means. It means equal exchange of energy. I know for you, it gets you out of that state of wanting to control, God, emperor, wanting to control everything. Gets you in a state of selflessness and generosity and humility, which is good for you. So I assume it does that, but you know better than I do. Agent of the Universe question, which rune is best to say to bring an abundance of resources into my life? I've already told you, I'm sure, Agent of the Universe, have you read my rune books? I have 3 of them out there. In case you don't know, people, you can go to courses.thunderwizard.com and look for my books, or you can just go on to Amazon and, click Michael William Denny, or go to michaelwilliamdenny.com and you'll find all my books there on Amazon. And I have 3 rune books. So all of these answers should be in those books. I'm telling you that because Agent of the Universe, you've been around for a while, so you should know this already. Let's see, Michael Williams. I'm putting down the link to where all my books are. At least they should be all there. DC Pagan, I missed your question. Is step 3 done for the 4 directions or the 8? Why would you think it was only the 4? Did I say something wrong? Did I write something down wrong? Step number 4, sit facing the south. No, it's very clear. So, DC Pagan, are you not familiar? Perhaps you're not. Are you not familiar with what we do in my astrology? If you have gotten a reading from me, you can go to thunderwizard.com. You can go to astrology.thunderwizard.com. You can get a reading from me. You can also get one from vincent.thunderwizard.com. He's already on here. And you can learn what your specific mantra is based on your chart. And when you learn that, you will know which specific direction to face. So no, this isn't about the 4 directions. This is about sitting in the direction of Mars. Perhaps I didn't make that clear. So south is the direction of Mars, and the element is fire. So when you sit and you face the south and you light a candle, you are empowering Mars and the fire of purification, which is Mars' element. That's why we're doing that ritual that way. Hopefully that answers your question. What else? Vincent.thunderwizard.com, honest feeling. I'm happy and proud of myself because I'm finally finished post-production on my Qigong course. That's awesome. People have been asking for it, so I finally got it done. Good for you, my friend. Best of luck with that. And Thundra Staves Rangel, thank you for the $1.99. I did get your emails, and I will get to them, and so I haven't forgotten. If you don't hear from me in a few days, you can remind me. Step 3, not step 4. Well, again, I don't know why there's confusion. What is step 3? Step 3, starting in the north. So, again, I said the thunder wheel. I've done these rituals before, so I didn't specify because I assume it's understood. We've done these rituals before. We always go in a clockwork, and I even mentioned 9. I mentioned 9 worlds, 8 directions. So I'm chastising you for either not paying attention or not knowing, but it's okay to ask. No, these are all 9 directions. You start in the north, you go 8, and then you end up at north again, which is 9, and the 9th time you're focusing on the center, which is Midgard. What else? Nothing else? No other questions? All right then. We'll just leave it at that for today. Let me do some business before I let it all go. All right, so as you know, we've got the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. This is, I think, the most, if I were to pick one thing that you should be doing, although I don't think you should just limit yourself just to one, but if you should be doing just one thing, it should be being subscribed to the Warrior 90-Day Challenge and doing the Lightning Qigong. So we've got multiple aspects to it, multiple phases. We just recently, I'm getting confused here because I'm getting distracted because I'm realizing I should give slight variations for people who are higher up on the Thunder Wizard food chain. So we just recently gave out the butterfly hands, the first level of the butterfly hands. There's at least 2 levels. And last night, in fact, when I was doing my practice, I focused on just doing the butterfly hands, both the more advanced version, which is a mirror. You do the butterfly hands and then you mirror it. It ends up being twice as long, but it's a mirror of the same thing, which means that you really get to go through both sides of the mirror. And it's a really wonderful, powerful exercise. And anyway, so I recommend going and subscribing to the Warrior 90-Day Challenge. It's very hard for me to believe that people can't afford that. It's, when people write and say, I can't afford to subscribe, I think to myself, seriously? I mean, unless you're living in a country where the monetary exchange is like 10,000 times, or you literally, live in your mom's basement and you have no money. I can't imagine why you couldn't afford, less than the cost of a cup of coffee every day from Starbucks. I don't understand why you couldn't do it. So you can do that. We have the maoshan.thunderwizard.com, which is the elite level. We've now gotten up to the 4th of the 5 elements. We've got water. So there's only 1 element left. Once we get to that 5th element, which I'll bring up pretty soon, which is earth. Probably I'll do that after this eclipse. Maybe I'll wait until I get to Florida. But I'll upload the earth, and once you have that, we'll be at full price. So if you want to save some money, now's the time. And if you're doing that, you can be using that for this ritual. um, instead of awakening the immortals, or you can do both. So let me now go, now that I've got my mind on it, let me now go into different levels of this exercise depending on your interaction with the channel. So what I've just given out here is if you are just somebody who is a subscriber or somebody who comes onto the YouTube channel, but you're not subscribed to the Patreon or anything else. So you should know where to find the Awakening the Immortals Qigong. It's on my page. If you don't know how to do that, go and go onto my YouTube channel page. You can find that by typing in thunderwizard.com into the, you can type thunderwizard.com into the YouTube search bar. My page will come up. You'll see my shining face and you'll see my page. You can click on that. Then you can, depending on what device you're on, you click on the magnifying glass or you click a pull down menu where it says search. You can type in Awakening Immortals Qigong and you'll get the link for it. Go and do that. Go and do that practice. If you are a member of the 90-day challenge, you can do that. And I recommend doing any aspect of the lightning Qigong that resonates with you. My suggestion is to do either the Hands of Creation, if you've learned that. If you haven't learned the butterfly because you're waiting, you're a good disciplined person, feel free to go ahead and start learning that. So you can do that either instead or right after. You do the Awakening the Immortals Qigong and then you do whatever you want from the Lightning Qigong after that. Okay? If you are a Maoshan practitioner, if you're doing the 5 elements, if you choose to, none of this is mandatory, if you choose to, you can either do the element practices instead of Awakening the Immortals, or you can do it along with. You know, you'll see. I'm also letting you know how to practice this stuff. You do the Awakening the Immortals Qigong first, and then you do the 5 element stuff, you're going to feel energy like you've never felt before. You thought you felt power before? I don't know. I can only tell you from my experience. There's nothing more powerful than this stuff. Okay, so I think I hit every level that is possible in terms of interaction with my channel. And before I forget, we also have the Lightning Qigong Distance Healing Certification. People have been asking me for this for months. I finally give it to you because you asked me to do it, and only one person has bought it. I don't understand. You know, I even said to people said, will you do a distance healing certification? And I said to one person, I said, how much would you pay for that? And I can't remember what the price was, but I said, oh yeah, that sounds good. That person hasn't bought it. Don't, you know, please, I'm waiting for it. Please. Human beings. But this is, if you wanted to learn about how we're going to be using these same techniques, but we're going to be focusing this power towards destruction of the corrupt elites. And so for those of you who think, oh no, I don't want to do any negative, I don't want to do any spiritual warfare, you'd be surprised how many people think that that's negative and we shouldn't do that and we shouldn't focus on negative things and all that. What we're doing is we're actually healing them. So when you look at this picture of, where is she? You look at this picture of Medusa. This also represents her healing. It also represents, when he used it to petrify the elites that he, sought on his way back home after this, he was sent to do this challenge. He uses this to petrify all of the elites that he comes in contact with, Perseus. That represents their liberation, their healing. It represents the having your head decapitated represents being freed from the prison of your intellect. Because narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, they're stuck in their head. They can't access their heart. People who are hypnotized, the people that go on and talk down to you, demean you, make fun of you. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous. When you hear people who are talking the mainstream narrative and they talk as though they understand truth and science, and they treat you like you don't. I mean, it's mind-boggling to listen to them. It's mind-boggling. So these people are totally lost. And so by doing this spiritual warfare, we are healing them. But it's also very important that you be connected to your right to stand your ground. As you saw in the beginning, somebody came on to abuse me. And when I started the video today, and I blocked him. You stand your ground. You refuse to let the elites take your power of choice away. And let's be really clear, the elites that have all this power would crumble if you simply said no. But we have to do it together. If you let them coerce you into getting the Cylon upgrade out of fear, the reasons that they're giving you are false, they're made up, they're lies. If you do it because you're afraid of being punished by them, that's your fear. They can't punish you unless we all knuckle under and let it happen. If you do it because you want to be accepted, these are all, they're either going to try and coerce you out of fear, or they're going to try and coerce you out of fear of them, of what they'll do to you, or they're going to want to coerce you through virtue signaling, which is another way of just peer pressure. They're going to try and peer pressure you into it. So your family, your spouse, your church, your friends, they're going to tell you you need to get the Cylon upgrade. Or they're going to, if that doesn't work, they're going to appeal to your greed, your ego. If you get the Cylon upgrade, we'll let you go out in public. We'll let you go visit your kids. We'll let you go visit your grandkids. They're gonna try and if they can't scare you into it, coerce you into it, they're gonna try and seduce you into it. But you have to say no. You have to follow through with what you know to be true for you and what is in your best interest. You have to, at the very least, protect your physical body. You can't let other people have access to anything that you don't want to give them access to. And make no mistake, this is a bio-digital matrix. All the things that I'm talking about in code are designed literally to hook you up to the cloud. All this stuff, did you know that cell phone was originally military technology? The cloud, military technology. And they're going to use all of that to get you hooked up to the cloud. And so don't let that happen. You have the power to do that. We are going to use this ritual to reflect back to them their sociopathy. And it's called, if you want to know what it's called, in psychological terms, it's called mortification. And it's a great example. It means to make dead. And mortification is what happens to narcissists. So we're talking about narcissistic, just absolutely sociopathic narcissistic entities. And the sociopath has no identity. They don't have a sense of self. They are the epitome of insecurity. You cannot get more insecure than a narcissist or a borderline. Same deal, dealing with that same energy. In fact, I would even say that Medusa actually represents more the borderline personality disorder energy than the narcissist. That really does explain that even more. And what was I saying? I was saying something profound. I can't remember what I was saying. So narcissists have no sense of self. They are incredibly insecure. And mortification, now I remember. Mortification is when you reflect back to them their own insecurity. You reflect back to them their own impotence. This is intolerable because the one thing that the narcissist wants is control. They want you to worship them. They want you to worship them and they want you to just do anything and everything they say as though it's the word of God. If they can't do that, they will also just seek to control you. And they will exert your obedience just through control. And so when you mortify a narcissist, when your presence makes them aware of their own insecurity and they're no longer able to manipulate or control or coerce you into not making them feel that way, they run. They run like scared rabbits. And it's called mortification because to them it feels as though they've been killed. So this is spiritual warfare. We're not seeking to cause any physical harm to any person. We are seeking to cause the mortification of the narcissists, and when we do that, they will run. They will run. What else? Baba Junzo, I just gave you the 90-Day Warriors version. Are you and I having problems communicating, Baba Junzo? Or is that okay? I'm conflating. Somebody else wasn't understanding. So this version, let me repeat myself. This version is for, as written, is for the average person who's just thunderwizard.com free YouTube subscriber. If you are part of the 90-day, what I've said is, let me repeat myself, is that you can use any of the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong practices that you feel a strong connection to. You can use that in place of the Awakening the Immortals or along with it. Or my suggestion is, this is what I'm going to do, is use the butterfly hands, either in place or better yet, do the Awakening the Immortals and then do the butterfly. If you're not ready for the butterfly, do the hands of creation. Okay? Is that clear? If you're one step above that, which means that you are the Maoshan, you're doing the 5 elements, you do the 5 element practices or whichever of the elements that you've done. You do that either in place of the Awakening the Immortals or right afterwards. Are we clear now? Have I explained it? I hope so. Thundra Staves Rangel question. You did say to begin on the day of the eclipse, right? I thought it, but I should have said it. Yes, we're going to do it. Part of the reason is because what I'm most concerned with is that you do it during that 12-day period from the eclipse onward. But yes, if you want to do it right as the eclipse is in its strongest point or right as it's beginning, please feel free. We're all going to be doing it together. We're going to be on different parts of the world, so people will do it. I'm not going to make you have to do it at this time. But please, by all means, if you want to be awake at that time and you want to do it right as it's happening, go right ahead. We'll do something on the lunar eclipse. Actually, I'll probably be I'll still be here actually. Anyway, if I have the ability, I'll create a ritual for the for the solar eclipse. Sorry, for the solar eclipse. No, I don't see any more questions or feelings. Let's see. Guy Home. Honest feelings. I feel excited to go to battle. We will totally crush them. No Cylon upgrade here, he says. Tired of this abuse. They cannot stand genuine power of the soul. I mean, it is. That's exactly what it is. You know, go and read the myths surrounding Narasimha, because we're in that exact same scenario. What's happening is that this is an attempt literally to take your soul out of your body. The thing that hurts them the most is spiritual power, the soul. And what is the soul? The soul is your identity. This is a fight for your identity. The biodigital matrix and the elites that are behind this are actively, completely, totally committed to the annihilation of your soul. They want to turn you into a robot. I mean, I put up a video on my other channel, or did I put it on this channel, about the robot nurses. They're in the process of replacing, as you know, because of the Cylon upgrade mandate, a lot of nurses have either been fired or quit. I mean, huge numbers of police, fire, first responders, nurses, doctors have either been fired or quit. And hospitals are tremendously understaffed. Do you think that is something that the elites did not see was coming? No, it was their plan. They're literally going to replace human beings with robots. They're in the process of doing it. They're open about it. And the company that's making these robots are saying, yeah, these nurse robots, which I mean, go watch it. It's crazy. They're total AI. They're artificial intelligence robots that look like, cute little young women. And they walk into the room and they talk specifically, they talk about working with elderly. And they program these Cylon nurses to walk in and say, hi, how are you? And then they take your temperature through their heart center. they've got a little temperature gauge. And I see that your temperature is 98.6 and you are responding. While we talk, I will gauge your vitals. I mean, I'm not kidding you. This is a real thing. And they say, I have been programmed for talk therapy. Hello, how are you? Oh, that's good, Grandpa. You look good today. I mean, seriously, talk therapy? And this isn't a joke. And they say, yeah, these robots are really expensive. But once we start deploying, they use the word deploy, once we start deploying them in the tens and hundreds of thousands, I shit you not, direct quote, once we start deploying them in the tens and hundreds of thousands, then they will be cheap. Who do you think that this is about? Who do you think owns the hospitals? The insurance companies. Who do you think owns the insurance companies? The drug companies. Who do you think owns the drug companies? The reptilian horde. This is planned. Their plan was to get rid of human nurses because it's a lot cheaper to buy a Cylon robot nurse than it is to hire a human being. And I kid you not, go watch it again. They even say, the robot tells you, that while she's taking your temperature and your vitals, Grandpa, she's then relating through the internet back to an actual human behind a desk who's at their computer looking at your vitals. And they also have, because if you've gotten the Cylon upgrade, more than likely you had to give away your social security number, right? You had to give your name, your address, your social security number, and they are going to create a database for your health. They're going to know everything about you, and they're going to, if you decide not to get the 3rd or the 4th Cylon upgrade, which is coming, they're then going to decide that you're mentally deficient, which means that they'll have the right to lock you up. If you don't think that's coming, I'm sorry that you haven't seen the reality of it. I didn't see it 2 months ago, 3 months ago now. But that's where this is heading if we don't fight them off. And by fight them off, of course, I mean spiritually. Honest feeling, Baba Junjo says, I appreciate you giving us this ritual. I feel the desire to do Immortals, Qigong, Hands of Creation, and Butterfly Hands all together. Go for it. You will not be short of energy. You will feel, and the great thing about this ritual is it's going to empower you as well. Baba Junzo, will you be doing the ritual live with us? Like you said you may do. I haven't decided yet, but I'm not ready to commit to that. I'm going to be doing it with you. There's a good chance that when you're doing it, I will be doing it with you. Whether I do it live online, that's, I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm in the midst of moving and all that other. Anyway, we'll see. I don't want to commit to that, but it's a possibility. Artemis is right, even though I normally don't respond to people's comments. Deploy is a military term. I know. That's why I said that. This is warfare. This is warfare. Like I said, all the stuff of the biodigital matrix, your phone, the cloud, the internet, these were all military inventions. They were inventions for the military. What you and I were led to believe was that the military created it and it said, oh, we don't need this. Here, you guys enjoy a new toy. No. No. As you see, at the very least, the internet is being used as a weapon because YouTube has a monopoly on this. I mean, I have BitChute and the other stuff, but you know, it's very hard to build a large audience there. But because YouTube has a monopoly, and YouTube is now part of the military, it's how they keep tabs on you. Facebook, we already know that Facebook is used to keep tabs on you, to know what you're thinking, what you're doing. And in fact, just to give you an example, here in Australia, I don't know if the news is getting out, but there are massive protests in the most locked down, biggest cities in Australia. Huge protests. And there's a video, if you look for it, of a guy at home, and he gets a knock on his door, an Australian guy. He opens the door, and there's two cops. The cops here look weird. They look like pizza delivery people, especially the women cops. They wear these little hats with the little checkerboard. They look like they're bringing you pizza. But anyway, they're still cops. They knock on the door, and they show him a printed out picture, and they say, "Is this you?" The guy says, "What are you talking about?" He says, "Is this you? Is this a picture of you? We got this off of your Facebook page. Is this you at a protest 6 months ago?" And to his credit, the guy says, "What the hell do you think you're doing? You're coming into my house, you're knocking on my door, you're bringing a picture of me off of my private Facebook page, and you're using it to harass and intimidate me, and you're asking if I was at a protest." And they say, "Well, this was an illegal protest." By the way, you don't have freedom of speech here in Australia. In case you thought this was a modern Western country, they don't have a constitution that gives you freedom of speech. You don't have the right to protest, in case you didn't know. I was surprised at all this also. Cops knock on the door and say, "Is this you? This is your Facebook page? We got it off your Facebook. Is this you at this illegal protest 6 months ago?" And the guy says, "That was 6 months ago. He says, what do I do if I say yes? You're going to cart me off? He said, get the hell off my porch. I don't remember. Leave me alone. And, it was, good for him. He didn't let them in, but it was pure intimidation. This is the kind of, Facebook is a military application. YouTube is a military application. Your phone is a military application. Another example here in Australia, when the beginning of the pandemic, we even here where in Queensland, there's no COVID here. People weren't allowed to have more than like 5 people in your house or something. And some guy in the neighborhood had like 10 people at his house. They were all quiet. It was just his friends. Knock on the door. Cops are on the other side of the door and says, everybody has to go home. You have too many people. He says, how did you know? And he says, oh, we can look at and see how many cell phones. We saw that there were over 5 cell phone signals in your house. They're monitoring you from what? Satellites. These are the cops. These are the people that are supposed to protect your safety, your integrity, your privacy. This is a military application. What else? Somebody has some unsolicited advice. If I unplug the Wi-Fi. No, trust me, it's got nothing to do with the Wi-Fi. This has to do with my soul is connected to the collective unconscious, and I can feel. Not only am I having to, just to be able to function, I have to, I can only handle so much of my own rage and anger and sadness at the tragedy of what's going on. But when I sleep, because I'm a shaman, I tap into the collective unconscious. So it's not just me. But I appreciate the unsolicited advice. I already have Odyssey, but it's glitchy. What else? drjweird.thunderwizard.com. He is one of my certified rune readers. So if you want to get a rune reading from him, you can go to his website, drjwyrd.thunderwizard.com. Honest feeling. Do me a favor, put that in all caps, otherwise I'll miss it. He says, I feel like the elites won't be able to last through this as they are trying to replace the soul with synthetic bots. Without soul, they must fizzle out and implode. I have that feeling as well. I'm not ready, because there are so many things that have happened, starting with Trump, that I just didn't believe were possible. And now I totally get it. And by the way, as I said, even though I'm definitely not a fan of Trump, I think Trump and Biden are two sides of the same coin. You have tyranny on one side and you have communism on the other. They're both flip sides of the same coin. I'm starting to rethink the election. I think the election may have not been what I thought. And I can't talk about this on YouTube because they'll censor me. All right, that's it for me, guys. Thanks a lot. It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining here, springtime, Queensland, Australia. I'm going to go swim in the ocean. Unfortunately, there's no waves, so I won't be doing any surfing. I agree with Artemis. We have to protect the children. That's what kills me. That's really awful. All right, that's it for me, guys. I will see you when I see you. Probably there'll be, what's today? Today is the 14th. So hopefully there'll be some updates between now and the 19th. But, all right, that's it for me for now. Talk to you soon.